there's a lot of really cool work that goes on in mass spectrometry to solve real world problems. And these people never get a chance they can't publish it in a journal. They can't do a webinar without 5 lawyers signing off on it and then having to mortgage their house or whatever else. But we do know that in general, they can at least talk for 5 or 10 or 20 minutes about what they do.
Welcome to GERSTEL's LabWorks True Podcast, the show about analytical chemistry, interesting instruments, and the challenging analytical problems that they solve.
Welcome to the episode 0 of the GERSTEL LabWorks True Podcast. This is episode 0, and the episode 0 is typically for the introduction. My name is Jan.
And my name is Kurt.
Yes, and we are working for GERSTEL. We make labs work. We automate sample prep and sample introduction for chromatograph-based mass spectrometry like GC and HPLC. To give you an idea who we are, we make a short introduction. My name is Jan, and I work in the analytical chemistry for about 33 years. I have worked in the laboratory at Bayer, and then at Agilent Technology, and it was former Hewlett-Packard in 1992 as a service technician, and then it switched to Agilent. And since 15 years, I'm working for GERSTEL in the sales. And since last years, I'm doing a lot of video, audio, and webinar stuff here at GERSTEL. So I'm responsible for the whole digital output, what we have and what comes in the future. And from my private side, I'm a passionate photographer and videographer, and I'm hosting a podcast in Germany for RVing. That means traveling and more. Yes, Kurt, what about you?
My name's Kurt. I am the product manager for thermal desorption and pyrolysis here at GERSTEL. Without going into a lot of detail about what that is, because everyone always asks, what's a product manager? Maybe we'll do that in another episode. I talk about TD and pyrolysis a lot. If you look me up on the internet, you'll see a bunch of talks. I am a graduate trained mass spectrometrist, spent 6.5 years at Ohio State in the U.S. doing mass spectrometry, both LC and ICP. Then went to international paper for about another 6.5 years, just doing corporate Mr. Fix-It stuff. And we'll get to this in a minute, but that's one of the things I'm really excited about this podcast for. After that, I left the lab, worked for Varian, Marks International, and now GERSTEL. So I've got a lot of experience in mass spectrometry, and also with knowing a lot of people with a lot of experience in mass spectrometry. So it's really looking forward to doing this. I'm an amateur musician. I play bass guitar. It's great to be back in front of the microphones today. Reminds me of my younger years. So it's good to do the podcast, and I'm really looking forward to talking about all this stuff. So.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt. And the big question with the podcast is, why should we do that? And the simple answer is there are so many interesting stories in the analytical chemistry, and we don't want to do here recorded interviews like webinars or so. So we want to talk with the guys directly. So, Kurt, what's your meaning about that?
Yeah, we've got one of the problems, and I have an industrial chemistry background, is that there's a lot of really cool work that goes on in mass spectrometry to solve real world problems. And these people never get a chance they can't publish it in a journal. They can't do a webinar without 5 lawyers signing off on it and then having to mortgage their house or whatever else. But we do know that in general, they can at least talk for 5 or 10 or 20 minutes about what they do. And we'll give them a chance to tell you some very interesting stories that they do because they can't get out any other way. And the stories are all a lot of fun. And if you're not having fun, then we haven't done a good job here. And along the way, you'll end up getting a lot of practical tips and experience about how people solve some crazy problems. So like in my case, one of those was cat urine smelling copy paper. So we'll get a chance to get into a lot of that stuff.
That sounds good. And hopefully you get excited about such a story. And even if you have stories about that, please connect with us and let's see if we can talk about that here in our podcast, because the stories are the exciting things, not the Oh, my words are missing.
Not tables of data. If you're looking for a table of data, go to a webinar. If you want to know the backstory, if you want to know how it really happened, this is where you want to be.
That's exactly what we need. Sorry for missing my words here. Yes, please connect with us on LinkedIn, for example, or look on our website. You find all the things in our show notes, or the other way is just Google our name. So you will find us and connect with us. And please be excited for the next episode, because we have a lot of great stuff which coming up, and we are producing in the background already the episodes, and they will follow up shortly.
Yeah, we have some friends. I have a friend in Singapore, assuming that he doesn't have to give blood to be allowed to talk. He'll end up talking about some interesting flavor fragrance things. Another friend who does whiskey, deals with musty flavors in whiskey. I'm hoping to get him on here. So this is a global thing. We have people who've some of the most challenging industrial problems in a field you could just call brand protection, where you have customers who complain about the way something looks or tastes or smells, and you end up having somebody figure out why and the chemistry behind it. So we have a lot of people lined up, and of course, if you've got a story you want to tell, we want to hear from you. So as Jan mentioned, check the show notes, connect with us, or heck, just Google our names. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, and you will also hear from us and from the company websites and from the LinkedIn company profiles. So you will hear when there is a new episode out. And the other way to get the newest episode direct on your mobile phone or on your computer is to subscribe to our podcast feed, which is also in the show notes or on the website. So please subscribe if you like that. And if not, please give us a feedback, then we can work on that. Thank you very much. And that was episode 0. Thank you, Kurt, for being here.
So stay tuned. Lots of neat stuff coming.